This is my favorite sound in winter. It might be freezing outside today, but in here it feels like spring already. And today we're planting an entire row of bell peppers that will be feeding people in just a few months. Hey everyone, welcome back to Homegrown Passion. If you're new here, I'm Katie, and this channel is all about growing clean, beautiful food, especially in hydroponic systems like this one, no matter what the weather's doing outside. Today I'm setting up and planting colored bell peppers in our Bato Bucket system. I'm going to walk you through the entire process, from plumbing to planting to pruning. Bell peppers are one of those crops that reward you if you get the system right and punish you if you don't. So today I'll show you why we grow peppers in Bato Buckets and why we use drain to waste system and how we set this up for strong plants and high quality fruit. The very first thing we need to do is install a drain line and nutrient line. This is a drain to waste system, which means each bucket gets fresh nutrients, and whatever the plant doesn't use, it drains away. This helps prevent salt buildup and keeps the root zones consistent. So my drain line is 1.5 inch pipe. Last year I had some debris and roots in my system, so I decided to cut the pipe in half. It makes it so much easier to clean it out and just put it together with rubber boots. And if you're wondering about the spacing, it's 18 inches on center between each hole. So the reason I use Bato Buckets for tomatoes and peppers is they are heavy feeders and they're a long season crop. You notice I'm going back and forth with the Bato Buckets. This way each plant has a lot more room to grow. If I had them all on one side, they'd all be crowded together. They really need room for roots, oxygen, and stability. That's why Bato Buckets work the best. Okay. Yeah. Now this part matters more than people think. At the bottom of the Bato Bucket, we install a 90-degree elbow, but we also set it up so we don't lose perlite down the drain. So the bucket, each bucket has a hole and a little piece of plastic that holds the 90-degree elbow in place so it doesn't move when you fill up the perlite, and also when the plant starts growing, because you don't want it to move the perlite or move the elbow aside and make the roots go down into your drain system. So just go through each bucket and snap them into place, and the net time is when I put them actually into the drain line. So skipping this part leads to clogged drains and uneven buckets. Should get it right there into the pipe. So I really hate leaks in my greenhouse. So sometimes you gotta wiggle the Bato Buckets to make sure they're securely into the drain line. There's nothing worse than coming in and seeing water all over the floor. Before we start filling these buckets, let's talk about perlite for a second. Perlite dust is real, so I always wear a respirator and I keep the exhaust fan running to keep the air clean. Okay, now that dust is settled, I take my mask off. So 4 cubic feet of perlite fills up 9 Bato buckets. When you fill perlite, don't pack it tight. Let it stay airy. I fill it, give the bucket a gentle shake, and that's it. One mistake I see all the time is people packing perlite like soil. Roots don't like to fight, they want air. If you're enjoying this video and you want more real greenhouse builds, make sure you subscribe. We post full projects like this every single week. We use straight perlite because it drains beautifully and delivers oxygen to the roots. The biggest mistake people make is overwatering. Frequent small feedings are the goal. I have my pepper plants ready. I had to pull them apart. I started them in oasis cubes. And pepper plants, they always germinate at different times. You can see I have some really nice big healthy ones and some little healthy ones. But in the long run, they'll start producing about the same time. I have 18 pepper plants ready to go in the Bato buckets, and I'm doing a staggered seeding, and I already seeded for the other half of the row, so they'll be ready to go into the Bato buckets in about 3 weeks. So I'm gonna have 2 rows of peppers. I have my older set right here, and then my new ones are gonna go on this row, and the ones I'm planting are gonna go down farther, and they're all on the same feed timer, so it's gonna work out perfectly well. They'll get the same feed, the same nutrition, and I shouldn't have any problems all summer with them. So before I can plant the peppers into the perlite, I need to wet it down because if it's dry, it won't hold the plant up and they flop over. And so I'm planting 2 pepper plants per bucket. That gives a balance between yield and airflow. And remember to keep the crowns just above the medium so they spread out the roots naturally. So I'm wetting down the perlite with nutrient water, and since I only have 9 buckets to do, I'm using my watering can. And the reason why I'm using the nutrient water is because that's what the seedlings have been growing in, so there won't be any shock to their system. If I use tap water, there's a lot of chlorine in it, and it would shock the roots way too much. So I'll just get these really wet down and do 2 buckets per watering can. So I got half a watering can to fill up, and then I'm done. Okay, let me go get some more. My next step is to get my nutrient line in place. I rolled it up so I could wash the concrete not too long ago. And I used this nutrient line for a couple seasons. There we go. Let me get this unrolled and into place. You want to make sure you do this part before you get the plants in there. Baby plants would be totally squashed if you ran them over with the nutrient line. Now don't laugh at me, I made a big mistake. Pulled out my nutrient line thinking, okay, I can go ahead and get it attached. And I went to attach it and the bucket should be over here. So I got to go through and switch all these buckets to go back and forth the other way. Okay, and again, as I'm putting these back and forth, I got to make sure I get them into the drain line perfectly, which is sometimes a pain in the butt. Well, at least this mistake's not the end of the world. Back and forth, back and forth. Oh, that one went in nice and easy. Let's see. Until it's getting later in the day, the sun's going down and the heaters are coming on more often. So get the water line in place. Sometimes I use zip ties, sometimes I use twisty ties. We drilled a hole into each bucket and just found out this way it keeps the water line from moving around and it doesn't damage the plants as they're growing. And it keeps it nice and straight. There we go. So I'm just going to go down the line and get it all attached, and I'll be ready for planting. Peppers are hungry plants. Nitrogen early, potassium and calcium as they flower. Consistency matters more than chasing perfect numbers. Still amazes me in all the years I've been growing peppers, if I seed the same seeds out of the same packet, Some grow really big and some are really slow and small, and some take forever to germinate, and other ones germinate like in a week. Other ones take 3 weeks. And I must say peppers are a little bit more forgiving than tomatoes because I had to rip some of the roots apart, and it really doesn't stunt their growth. So I have my pepper plants laid out. Like I said, do 2 per bucket. And I try to keep the same size plant in each bucket since they do germinate at different times and they get bigger than each other. And since they're baby plants, you're gonna want to take, this guy's gonna have to be trellised. You're gonna have to take the emitter and make sure it's next to the plant because it doesn't have its root system yet. And if you have the emitter too far away, it won't get enough water. So put this one close to this guy. This guy's gonna fall over on me. You know what? I'm gonna put this around him to kind of steady him and hold him up. There we go. Well, we'll get the Bato bulb and drop down to him and hold him up. As you can see in this bucket, I have about the same size little plants. Get them in there. So I used to have to plant them in each corner because there's a styrofoam lid that goes on top of the Bato buckets. But I haven't used it in years because, it's supposed to stop the algae, but I didn't really have any good luck with it, so I quit doing that. So I just kind of put the plants on either side of the bucket, twisted things around so I don't kill them. And these guys will take off growing real soon. Look how big this guy got. He's crazy. So in greenhouses, pests show up quietly. Aphids, thrips, and stupid spider mites. Healthy plants with airflow and early detection are your best defense. Also, I like to use my little yellow sticky tabs. Put those in the canopy. Whoops, make sure I get it hooked in there right. And it really gives you a good idea what kind of pest problems you do have, and it does catch a lot of them. I trellis the pepper plants and prune the lower growth so all the energy goes into the fruit. So these are my older plants. They're 1.5 years old, and I went through the beginning of the winter time and cut all the branches off and pruned them up really tight. And you'll notice since I did that, there's a lot of new growth coming through. Like here's some right there and then up there. So these plants should be ready for next spring. They really have a lot of bell peppers for me. And that's how you get a better size, color, and quality fruit. On a cold winter day, this is how we plant hope for the future. These peppers will grow, flower, and fill the greenhouse with color. And I'll bring you along for every step. So I'm running out of daylight and I still have some chores outside to do. So tomorrow morning, my plan is with the Bato bobbins, drop these guys down, hook them up with the vine clips so they grow up nice and straight. Now this is the calm part. The work is done. Now let the plants do their work. This is why I love growing this way. On a cold winter day, we get to plant something that's going to feed people months from now. If you have any questions about Bato buckets, bell peppers, or anything that you saw today, leave a comment. I really do read them, and I love seeing how you're growing. And if you're growing peppers this season, Bato buckets, raised beds, soil, I'd love to hear what's working for you. If this video helped you, make sure you subscribe. This is what we do here at Homegrown Passion. Real growing, real system, and grown food with intention. Thanks for spending part of your day with me, and I'll see you next one.